Okay, hey everyone. I'm not quite sure if there's anyone in here yet, so I will go ahead and get started. I'm going to wait another couple of minutes until people start showing up. What I've got right here is some pre-mixed packed paint that I'm just going to be doing a base coat with. Packed paint is a mixture of acrylic paint and prosthetic adhesive, Prostate specifically. And I'm just sponging this on the base coat. I'll probably end up doing about 2 layers. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, by the way. If you're not sure what I'm doing for anything here. Well, hey guys, welcome. What I'm doing right now is putting down a base layer of packed makeup, which is acrylic paint mixed 50-50 with Pro Sage. And what that does is it creates, Pro Sage is super sticky, and it makes the acrylic paint very flexible, which in turn makes it not crack when you're wearing the headpiece. You only have to do a base layer with the packs because subsequent layers after that stick to the first layer of packed makeup, and also in turn don't deflect. Feel free to ask questions in the comments, guys. If maybe someone wants to say hi and make sure that I'm actually seeing the comments. Last time I did a live stream, the chat was goofed, so if you could double check and make sure that works, that would be great. Still not seeing anything from the chat. Hopefully it just takes a little bit to update for me to see it. If not, give me a few minutes and I'll see if I can work something out here. Hey everyone. I am not seeing chat updates. Hold on 2 seconds. Let me see if I can work something out here. Oof. Oh boy. Okay, I see. You guys are using. Okay, that should work then. I was hoping that I would just be able to do the live stream. But let's see. All right. Yes, I can see it. Thanks, May. All right. So yeah, if you guys can go ahead and ask questions through the Q&A app and the chat. So we will go ahead and use that instead. Thanks for joining me, by the way. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me and keeping me company while I do my painting. Just a second to change this so you guys can see this properly now. There we go. Thanks, guys. I am okay with you bothering me, May. And everyone, well, this is my husband, Coco. Thank you. Man, using a touchpad with gloves on a laptop is super tricky. So I think a few new people have joined since I first started. So I was just saying before, what I'm currently doing is putting down a base layer of packs, which I'll actually be mixing up. I had some extra left from the last time I was doing a purple headpiece that I'm just using up, but I'm going to need to mix a new batch. And it is acrylic paint and Prosade, which is prosthetic adhesive, 50/50. What it does is puts down a nice flexible layer of paint that won't crack on the headpiece. And it's sticky as well. Sorry, so it will make any future layers of paint that I put on as well, like with the airbrush or when I'm doing the dry brushing, those will stick to the Prosade and then those. And I'll probably be doing 2 layers of this. You want to make sure you're wearing gloves when you're using packs because it is crazy sticky and sticks to everything. And it can actually be a really big pain in the butt when it sticks to itself. So when you're trying to handle like the tentacles up here, and it's all over your fingers and dried, and you're trying to like handle the headpiece and you know, get stuck to it. So wear gloves. Yeah. Okay. I'm actually impressed that I have enough to do the entire head. I was expecting to have to make some more halfway through. Right, so I actually have to color match this to the makeup. The person that I'm making this for requested that I make it match the purple that I use for Aria. So I'm just gonna put some of that makeup on my arm and then try and match that. The makeup that I use for Aria is called Maron Paradise AQ, and it's purple. And the colors that I use to match that are Liquitex Basics in Brilliant Purple and just black. And that actually can get a really close color to it. So I just put some purple in, and I start slowly adding black until I get to the right color, which may take a little while. But we're in no rush. And what you want to make sure you do is mix the paint before you add the Pro-Sade. Like I said before, we're going to add about the same amount of Pro-Sade as there is paint in here. But the Pro-Sade starts out white, but it will dry clear. So if you mix it into your paint before you're done getting the color that you want, basically the Pro-Sade will lighten the color, and then it'll dry darker once you're done applying it, so it won't match. A little bit too bright. And of course, now I've added too much dark in. So Quinn is asking, how long did it take when I first made / painted my first headpiece? You know, to be honest, it was so long ago, I don't really remember. I don't think it was much longer than it's going to take me today, probably a few hours. The technique is actually pretty easy. I am not really an expert painter, so it's not too bad. But I'd probably say it maybe took me 4 or 5 hours to paint my first headpiece, give or take. Like I said, that was probably almost a year ago. Also, keep in mind that the first headpiece I ever made, I actually only painted one solid color. I never did any undershading or airbrushing on that. I was in a huge rush trying to get it done for a contest, and so I never, and I didn't have time to learn how to use an airbrush at that time. I had just bought my airbrush and hadn't learned how to use it yet. So the very first pictures that I ever got are of me with a just like solid color headpiece with no shading or highlights or anything. It actually looks really boring. So if that answers your question. And May is asking, have I ever tried doing the base coat in a contrasting color? I have. I tried once on my first headpiece again. I didn't have much luck with it, but again, I am not actually that great at painting. So sorry, I'm half distracted staring at my paint. I'm not that great at painting, and so I didn't really figure out a way that made it work for me without it looking really weird and off. I've found again, this is personally just for me, the easiest way to match my makeup, which has always been my goal, is to do the base coat matching the makeup, and then I do a layer of what's it called, a dark wash, and then I do a layer of dry brushing, and then I airbrush on highlights and low lights. And if I want to add in some contrasting color, usually I'll add in some modeling or something like that in like a blue or green or something. So that's usually the way I go about doing it. So I've got my paint mixed up. Well, sorry, I was waiting for it to dry on my arm, and it's still looking a little bit dark, so I think I'm going to add a little bit more purple into that. So if you want to ask questions in the meantime, go ahead. I may at some point later pull out the hair dryer to help rush along the drying with this as well. I'm just going to mute the microphone real quick while I use the hair dryer. And we're back. Also, one thing to keep in mind is when you're mixing paints while you're making packed makeup, is you're going to end up with double the amount that you mix because you're mixing in that much Pro-Shade as well. So you really can go on the conservative side. Now, also keep in mind that the when you mix in the Pro-Shade, it does make the paint slightly more transparent. So you'll still probably only get the same amount of coverage, but just something to keep in mind. It's going to double your paint. All right, so I've finally got a color that's pretty close. I don't think you can actually see that, but this is basically what I do. I put a bunch of makeup on my arm and then keep testing until I get to about the same color. So this is my bottle of Pro-Shade. I swear it's Pro-Shade even though there's no label on it. And I am just pouring in, I'm just doing this by eye, about the same amount of Pro-Shade as there is paint in here. If you go a little more, a little less, it's not a big deal. If you put a little bit more Pro-Shade in, it's going to be more flexible but be more translucent. So you'll have to do more coats in order to get good coverage. If you put a little bit less in, it's going to be less flexible, but you'll get better coverage. If it's less flexible, you're going to be more likely to have it crack on you. But I haven't run into problems either way. Usually I'll put more in, when I'm doing the tattoos on Arya's face, I usually put a little bit more Pro-Shade in because it keeps it more flexible because her tattoos go like on her lip, her lower lip, and so there's a lot of flexing when you're talking there, so I'll usually put a little bit more in. But for something like this that's not going to really be moving all that much, you don't quite need as much. Okay, and the first coat of the paint is dry, so I'm going to go ahead and start the second coat. No worries, Julie. What I am using for I'm mixing packed makeup, or I just mixed some packed makeup, and I am using just plain old acrylic Liquitex Basics. And what you do is you mix that 50-50 with Pro-Shade to make a flexible paint. And you basically can put down, you just need to put down 1 or 2 layers of the packed makeup, and then you can just use regular acrylics on top of that. And the acrylics will stick to the packed makeup that you've already put on. And it will keep it nice and flexible and keep it from cracking. And Julie, I was saying earlier, always use gloves because the packed makeup is super sticky, and handling anything when you've got packs on your hands is a nightmare. Now, for those of you that aren't terribly familiar with headpieces or special effects makeup or whatever, Crocade is a prosthetic adhesive, and it's the same stuff that you're actually going to use to glue down the headpiece to your skin. If you're looking to be painting your own headpiece in the near future and you are using this technique, I strongly recommend starting at the back of the headpiece, at the bottom of the tentacles, before you've painted everything, and start with that first, because that's when you're going to be handling it the most. So if you already have the tentacles covered in paint, it can be a pain in the butt to get under here because you're smearing the paint around and all that. So if you start at the bottom and then do the top afterwards, it'll be a lot easier. Of course, when you're on your second coat, it doesn't really matter because you still have to handle it, but you know, whatever. Also, something to note is you should always make sure to wash your headpieces before, like clean them off before you start painting. I usually just douse mine in like a bath of vinegar water, and I've had pretty good success with that. Basically, when I'm demolding the headpieces, you get baby powder all over the place, and that's going to be the case with just about any latex. See what I'm talking about with the sticking? That's the pain of that. Sorry. Anyway, so basically any latex headpiece that you get is going to be probably covered with baby powder because that's just part of the demolding process. So you want to make sure that you give it a really good rinse before you start painting. Otherwise, the paint isn't really going to stick very well. Anyway, so I was saying I put mine in a bath of vinegar water. At some point when I was first doing all of this research, when I was first learning how, because also keep in mind that these headpieces were the first time I had ever sculpted and casted something. So I don't really have a ton of experience making prosthetics. I had read that if you prep latex for painting by soaking it in like a citric acid water bath, and I obviously didn't have any citric acid on hand, so I just figured that for a small case like this, vinegar would probably do the trick, and if not, at least vinegar is pretty good at cleaning things. So it should get all of the nitty-gritty off. What they were saying with the citric acid was that it preps it and it like opens the pores of the latex and makes it more ready to accept paint or something along those lines. Again, don't quote me because it's been a really long time since I've read into it. But if this is something that you're thinking of getting into, that might be something to keep in mind. I wish the group chat was working. It'd be nice to just ramble with you guys while it's silent and just ask general stuff, but it doesn't, I don't think it is. Let me see. I don't know if you guys have an option to go into the group chat at all and talk. But if you do have that option, you should go in and start talking. Or just feel free to keep asking me questions on the Q&A. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to headpieces either. I do know about other things, shockingly. I was thinking something that might be fun to do in the future is do like little crafting hangouts or something like that, where you kind of just get like, 5 or 10 people together and crafting and just, hanging out while we craft online and chat, because it can get kind of lonely holed up in the craft room for 10 hours a day all by yourself. So it'd be neat to just kind of get some people together and do a hangout or something. I don't know if you guys would be interested in doing that. Saying, May, if you ever did a live stream on how you paint your headpieces, I'd love to see it. It's always really cool seeing just how different people approach things differently. because I think you use the cream makeups to do your pieces mostly. I think I've watched O'Brianna from Mad Masker paint hers as well. I think hers is just a YouTube video, but she's got a video as well. I just love seeing how, like I said, how people approach things differently. You should do that once you have some more headpieces available. Okay, I think I'm done my second layer with the pack. A few more spots that I need to touch up. Oh, cool. If you guys haven't seen, May from Anatomy of Cosplay also paints headpieces. And she has done some absolutely beautiful, beautiful work. You should go check her out if you haven't seen her, but you probably already have if you're in here. And she's just saying she does a combination of packs, makeup, airbrush, and just regular makeup. So while I'm waiting for this to dry, what I'm going to do is mix up a dark wash, which is what I do next. Save this. I was really surprised that the paint that I had done to my last headpiece hadn't dried out yet, so that was kind of nice. But someone needs to order another Aria headpiece so I can use up the stuff that I just mixed up. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm using a really dark purple called dioxazine purple. Dioxazine. I don't know. It's just a really dark purple, and I'm putting a little bit of paint in a cup, and then I'm going to water it down so that it's super watery. And that, once this headpiece is dry, is going to get painted all over the headpiece in order to basically get it into all the cracks and crevices and add some really cool detail and basically bring out all the detail in the sculpt. Before I forget and my tea gets super cold, I have a whole bunch of tea that I need to drink. So you want to make sure that it's quite watery. If it's too thick, you're going to end up with, like basically it's going to be way too dark and you're going to end up with a really, it's going to darken the color of the headpiece too much. What you want to do is just basically make sure it's thin enough to get into all the crevices and then hopefully run off all of the, most of the highlights. And then after that, what I'll be doing is going over all of the highlights with some dry brushing, and that really brings out the texture of the highlights. It's a really cool effect because the latex isn't perfectly smooth, and so you get all these really cool variations in color from the latex. And I like to have some paper towel on hand because this can get a little bit messy. I'm actually gonna hold on. I'm gonna mute the microphone while I blow dry the rest of this paint just in case it's still damp. Okay, I'm back. So the other thing you can do is just test it out real quick on the back and make sure that, you know, that's still way too dark and thick. Test it out on the back to make sure that it looks the way you want to. The headpiece that I'm working on today is actually not for Aria, even though it's the same color as Aria. It's going to be for an original character. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's going to have some really pretty gold markings on it that I really like the look of. It's not something I would have ever thought of on my own, but the results are super pretty, I think. So I'm really excited to see this in its final form once the costume is all done. I think the woman that commissioned it from me is going to be wearing it at the end of January, so that should be cool. There we go. So I just brush this all over and make sure that I get the paint into all the little crevices. I'll often actually wipe away the excess on top and just leave the paint that's in the details. You want to make sure that it doesn't pool up at the bottom of your headpiece either, otherwise it's going to dry there and look ugly. So I just kind of dab away the stuff at the top. And when you're doing this, make sure you keep an eye on the tips of the tentacles as well and at the bottom again, because the wash has a tendency to kind of settle down at the bottom of it and leave some really dark drips that if they dry there, they look weird. And you want to make sure that you keep double checking the areas you've already done. Make sure there's no pooling. Oops. And wear work clothes when you're painting, because getting paint on your good clothes sucks. So I'd love to hear if any of you other guys are working on costumes for the upcoming con season, what your plans are. I've got way too many to count right now, but a few of them There's a convention in ECCC is in March, and I've got way too many ambitious plans for that. I'll probably, I've already bought the fabric, so I guess I'll definitely be making Cole from Dragon Age. I would like to make Morgan's ball gown from Dragon Age as well, because I already bought the fabric for that. And I'm also going to be part of an Asari dancer group, which should be a huge bunch of fun. I'm really excited for that. And I think that's it. And then I've got more costume plans for SakuraCon, which is a week later. So I doubt those are actually going to get done, but I can pretend. They'll probably end up getting pushed to summer. But tell me what your guys' plans are. Feel free to use the Q&A app, even though it makes for the most awkward chat ever. Coco is also working on a Berserk armor from Berserk, which should look really cool. He's been 3D printing it. He hasn't worked on it for a little while. He's kind of been taking a break from it, but he's been 3D printing the whole set, which is really cool, modeling it all himself. So I'm pretty excited to see that. That's one of my favorite series, so I haven't read it for a long time. When I'm doing the dark wash, what I try and do is, if I'm trying to match the paint, I actually avoid the forehead as much as I can, or wipe the excess away. So you get a little bit of modeling and discoloration, but not too much, just enough to add some texture, but not enough to completely darken it, since there's not really any texture on the forehead of my piece anyway. And that way it continues matching your makeup fairly closely, and then anything that's different kind of just stays towards the back of the head and isn't as obvious that it doesn't match your makeup. Tell me what you're working on, May. I know you're working on some things, but maybe you have some new projects that I haven't heard of yet. Sailor Liara? Like Sailor Moon Liara? Unicorn armor from Ion. Oh, I haven't played Ion in years, man. If you're talking about the game Ion as opposed to, I don't know, something else that I haven't heard of. I'm really excited to see those. I haven't played the pre-sequel yet. I should, I just haven't had time. I actually just started playing KOTOR for the first time last night, so I'm pretty excited to see how that is. Coco's been bugging me to play it for years, and I know that I should have played it years ago, but I was, too busy replaying Mass Effect for the 100th time to bother playing KOTOR. Anyway, so I started that last night, and I'm really excited to see where that takes me. It's been hyped up by everyone so far, telling me it's amazing. So if it isn't, I'll be pretty disappointed. I was really surprised when I started playing and Caden's voice popped up. Oh, Liara is Sailor Mercury. That's fantastic. I'm so jealous. What convention are you wearing that to, May? That sounds like so much fun. You get to be part of the best groups, I swear. I'm just going to clear out some of these quote-unquote questions from May. HK47, sorry, I don't know what that is yet. Okay, cool. So, of course, for Dragon Con, which I can't make it to again. Oh well. 1 year I'll make it to Dragon Con. 1 year. But considering you have to plan a year in advance, it won't be next year either. Okay, so dark wash I think is all applied. I'm just going to go around and tidy up any little flaws or anything that are extra cooling that's occurred while I've been doing the rest of it. Just here. So the dark wash needs to be completely dry before I go ahead and start doing the what should I use it? The dry brushing. Let's stop finding little bits that I've missed. What I want to do is just go in real quick and do with a real tiny paintbrush and get inside the gills in here. Because the dark wash has a tendency to just run right out of there. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit of a thicker paint and get in there. Oh, that's a really good idea. May's just saying I should make a Sailor Aria Scout and then come back to Montreal so we can run around together. I don't know what Sailor Scout Aria would be though. The closest I can think is like Sailor Pluto, maybe? Maybe Sailor Mars. I don't know. What's funny is that I have been meaning to make a Sailor Fuku for like 100 years. I really want to make a Sailor Mercury costume. So, you know, if I already have the pattern, then I might as well make a Sailor Aria costume next time I come to Montreal and see you. Let's see. Julie's asking, if you want to change the color of your headpiece, is it possible, or do you need to make one to buy a new one? I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. I've never done it before, but I don't see why you wouldn't be able to just paint over it. I have used, honestly, I'm planning on making a new Aria headpiece for myself, just because my old one is so, it's kind of getting beat up, and it was the first pull that I ever did out of this mold, and I wasn't that experienced at casting at the time, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to blend the edge of it. But yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to just repaint it. What will probably happen is you'll lose some of the texture just from the thickness of the paint. So you'll lose some of the detail of the headpiece. But if that doesn't bother you, then I don't see why you wouldn't be able to repaint it. All right, so I've just painted in the some darker the grooves where the gills are. I guess they're gills. I don't know. Sorry, you're weird, guys. Now, Julie, the nice already made your own headpiece and you have a mold. What you can do is you can get a large number of headpieces from one mold. Like I've been using the same mold and I've probably cast about 10 of them out of it. And I think only just now is it starting to degrade a little bit. So if you are planning on making multiple Asari costumes, it may be worthwhile to try and make your own, sculpt your own headpiece and make your own mold, because then you can pull multiple copies and not have to worry about repainting, and then you can keep reusing your own costumes multiple times. And it's not, I mean, it definitely is a big investment, I guess. Cosplay is a big investment, though. It's a big time sink and time investment, but it's really rewarding to make your own headpiece. And it's not, I mean, this is a little bit of a bigger project to try for your very first time, if you're sculpting for the very first time, but it's not impossible. I mean, I managed it. So that's saying something. All right, so while I wait for this uh, dark wash to dry a little bit more, I don't want to hair dryer it quite yet, because it's still quite damp and it's going to blow the wash out of the groove. So I'm just going to let it dry a little bit more, and I'm going to go take a quick break. So I will be right back in a few minutes. And I'm back. I just wanted to wash all that makeup off of my arm when I was doing the color matching. So no one else has any cosplay plans? Aside from me? Okay, I'm just going to mute this again so that I can blow dry the paint. Okay, so I'm going to start dry brushing now. I'm just using a light purple paint for this. Um, And Quinn, so what are these glorious plans of yours? Keep in mind that once you say them out loud, you have to make them. But no, I totally understand. I've got so many quote-unquote plans for costumes this year that are probably never going to get done, but I don't have enough time to make all the costumes I want to make. So dry brushing is really easy. You just dab your paintbrush in the brush, and then I like to stipple it in so that it gets really into the paintbrush, and then you stipple most of it away so that there's barely any left on your paintbrush, and then you just go in and very lightly go over all of the texture. And that's going to bring out, you use a really stiff brush, and that's going to bring out all of the little scales that are on there and highlight those. And it also really brings out the texture of the latex. Because it's not perfectly smooth, right? It's got imperfections, just like real skin, and it gives it this really cool effect. And then you do that all over the entire headpiece. And I'll often do this on the forehead as well, just again to give it a little, it's got a little bit of a texture, even from where you've painted before, that just looks really neat once you've dry brushed it. No, this is actually the exact same technique that I used when I was painting my treasure goblin mask as well. It's just a very strict, like color, then putting down light wash that can carry over to just about anything, and will almost always be good. And it doesn't take too much time. That treasure goblin mask, I haven't seen, I don't think I have it up here, I think it's packed away downstairs. I sculpted that in a day and a half, I guess, and then painted it, molded it in a day, the second day that I was sculpting it. Cast it over the course of a day, and then painted it within a day. About 2 weeks to get the whole costume done. And I think I did most of it within a week. But anyway, so this paint job, it's reasonably quick. Like I said, you can do it over the course of a few hours, and it's not going to suck up your entire day. I'd say the biggest hassle is It's also nice because if you've never painted before, it's something that you can, it doesn't take a lot of skill to do, as far as I'm concerned anyway. You're using mostly solid colors. It doesn't involve a lot of mixing or blending. You're just layering colors. So just about anyone can do it, as long as you pick colors that go that look nice together. I'm not really bothering to go into the tentacles with this dry brushing, just because I know I'm going to be airbrushing in there afterwards. So like I'm not going into these grooves here because I'm going to be putting airbrushing like dark low lights in there, and you're not going to be able to see it afterwards anyway. Do any of you guys do any sculpting at all? It's something that I'd love to be able to do more of, but just don't have the time. I notice that's a common theme in my life. So May's just asking, how come I airbrush after I dry brush? No particular reason other than, sorry, got distracted again. Not any particular reason one way or the other. I kind of like the airbrushing to look like it's shadows over top of the texture, but either or works. Also because a lot of the time I have to add the markings on after with the airbrush, and it saves me time from having to clean my airbrush twice. The nice thing about doing this live stream is now I know to access keys in this release. Really bothered keeping track before. Almost done dry brushing, guys. We get to go on to the more interesting stuff. I'm actually thinking of sculpting a new headpiece at some point this year, possibly before ECCC. My old mold is starting to get a little bit worn down and not sure how much longer it's going to last. I've gotten so many requests for headpieces over the holidays, I was really surprised. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be able to keep doing them. I wanted to make a new Aria headpiece for myself, and I also wanted to make a Liara headpiece at some point. I did that commission for Liara's dress quite a few months ago, back in September, and I was hoping to make the same dress for my, well, not the same dress. I want to make Liara's Shadow Broker DLC dress from the Liara romance. So I wanted to make that, so I need a new headpiece for that. But I might not end up. I also wanted to make a new Arya headpiece because I've been thinking about changing up my makeup. I wanted to try alcohol-based makeups instead of the water-based that I usually use. So I figured I would try making a new headpiece with the new makeups as well and see how that went. But we'll see how it goes. I also wouldn't mind trying out a different molding technique. The stone is great, but doesn't seem to last very long. And I was hoping if maybe I try the fiberglass mold, it might last a little bit longer. But I'm not sure how fiberglass molds work with latex, so I need to do a little bit more research. Because the way a stone mold works is it actually sucks some of the moisture out of the latex, so that you get the gel coat. Like it basically gels after you pour the latex in, and then you can pour the latex back out, and it maintains this nice thick coat around the stone. So I'm not entirely sure how it works with fiberglass, but I think it'd be worth looking into if it means that I get to keep the mold for a little bit longer. But the problem is when you mold the original sculpt, the original sculpt is basically destroyed. So every time your mold dies, you need to sculpt a new headpiece. Which is not really ideal. The nice thing about making molds out of things that aren't clay, so like, replica guns or something like that, is you can keep the master around, so if you ever need to remold it, because your mold is gets too much use, you can, but with sculptures, you don't really have that luxury, which is unfortunate. Okay. been doing a lot more research into different makeup for body painting, because the makeup that I was using before, it treated me very well, and I've used it a number of times, but I tend to find whenever I wear Aria, for some reason my eyes water, which I don't know if it's because I'm wearing contacts or because it's air conditioning or what. Like the air conditioning dries out my eyes or something like that, but I always end up with watery eyes, and so I get these little tiny white skin marks right at the corner of my eyes every time I wear her that constantly need to be touched up throughout the day, which is super annoying. So I've been looking into alcohol-based makeups, because those are supposed to be much more durable and they're waterproof. I think it's generally recommended that you don't use them on your face, but I've seen plenty of people and cosplayers use them on their face, so I don't know. But the problem is they're super expensive. They're something like 20 or 30 bucks for a little tiny 1 or 2 ounce bottle of makeup, and I have to buy. They also don't come in a huge range of colors because you're supposed to mix your own. So I'm going to have to buy, 2 or 3 different colors in order to get the right color for Aria, which is kind of a really big investment. That's why I've stuck with the water-based makeup for so long, because it's about $10 for this palette, which lasts several applications. I've gone through 2 of them, and I've probably worn Aria about, I don't know, 7 or 8 times in that time. So maybe even more, to be honest, since I've worn her multiple days at the same convention when I first finished the costume. Funny, after I kind of semi-retire Aria, I'm probably not going to wear her again except for like really special occasions, something that really calls for it. But because I've shown her off to the BioWare staff a couple of times, which was super awesome. And it's so exhausting putting on the headpiece. I keep saying that I'm never gonna, dress up as Aria again, but then I make plans to dress up as other Asari. Like, why won't I dress up as Aria then? But, yeah, so we've got the Asari dancer group planned, and I want to make Liara's dress, and I just never learn. Okay, I think I'm all done with the dry brushing. So what I'm going to do now is pull out the airbrush. May, I'm super nervous about using cream makeups because I break out so easily. Like, even normal makeup gives me really bad zips, and so I'm more inclined to use alcohol-based just because it's more drying and is less likely to make me break out. And I also honestly like the fact that it doesn't shift around. I don't know, I feel like a cream-based makeup would be a really big pain in the butt to wear with anything that's got a cutout, because it would just smudge and get all over your clothes as well. I could be wrong, but I'm just really leery of using it. Okay. So I've got 3 different colors that I will use while I'm airbrushing. They're all these Createx airbrush paints, and they're just airbrush acrylics. if you're new to airbrushing, you can water down acrylic paints, but I find that the acrylic will dry, like the watered down acrylic will dry really, really quickly, and can have a tendency to clog your airbrush. And excuse me. Oh, what was my other thought? Oh, you're always going to end up with what looks like watery paint, so you're going to have to do quite a number more of passes in order to get the opacity that you want. These airbrush paints are specifically designed to go to an airbrush, so they're quite pigmented already, so you don't need to worry about you know, them not spraying on enough color, which is nice. That's what I like about them. So sorry, it's going to get a little bit loud while I turn my air compressor on. So I'm just using the this dark purple first. It's quite similar to the color that I used originally for my dark wash. And I like to put a little bit of water in with it, just because the paint is a little bit thick for my airbrush, so I just water it down with a couple of drops of water. And then I'm just going to be going in the grooves here and maybe a little bit around. Oh, 2 seconds. I'm going to adjust my big screen here. May, I've actually found that I know this is contrary to popular I don't know, consensus knowledge. I have no idea. I find having super dry skin tends to make me break out less, and that's just me, obviously. Because I know dry skin is supposed to make you more oily and make you break out more, but I found as long as I'm have like super dry skin, I don't break out. As soon as I start getting like putting lotion or anything excess on my skin, that's when I start breaking out, which is again why I hardly ever wear makeup and hate it. Let me know if the air compressor is super annoying or loud, and I can mute the sound. Otherwise, I'll probably just leave it on if it's not too much of a bother. That way I can talk to you guys. Now is going really, I'm basically going in here and then going kind of feathering it out along the outside of the groove here. And what I'll do afterwards is I'll add a little bit of black to the purple, and then I'll go back in and make it harsher, the paint darker in the actual grooves. I agree, May. Pimples are the worst. Sorry, my voice head is holder is in that. You guys are thinking about painting your own headpiece and you don't, highly recommend getting one. Even I bought this guy on Amazon for something like $100 while I was living, well, and it wasn't the cheap one. It was like the second with 3 airbrushes. You need kind of the chance to try out. It came with 1 single action, and it was that like, you know, plugging along for what I've needed to use it for, which is like, you know, doing headpieces once in a while and occasionally painting props and basically doing anything that's got a gradient on it. So I highly recommend just checking it out. And if you've got the cash to burn, because, you know, in this hobby we all have that, right? Try checking. Yeah, give it a try. So I think if you're in the States, Harbor Freight also has a super cheap one that may still be on sale for after Christmas or something like that. So I'm just adding a little bit of black now to the purple that I had in there before. Just adding about a drop. And I'm almost at the purple, so I'm adding more in. And I'm going to do kind of similar to what I just did, but with a little bit more focus in the center of the tentacles. A little bit darker than I was hoping, and that's more purple for that. Okay. So I'm just going to clean out the airbrush and I'll do the highlights after that. So I'm just going to use white for this. to do the highlights on top of the tentacles. And I'm just highlighting along the ridge of each one. And then I'm going to go along the ridges in the back as well, just to highlight them a little bit. All right. I think that's about it. I'm going to call it a day now. I'm not going to put, she wanted some gold markings on, but I'm just going to get my customer to kind of approve this before I go ahead and put any final markings on. So I think we will call it a day for now. Thank you for coming in. If you have any further questions, turn that off. If you have any more questions, feel free to PM me on Facebook or on Twitter, and yeah, let me know. Thanks for keeping me company while I painted this up today. If you want to see, I guess I can show you guys the final result. I don't know how well you can see it. Well, there it is. So thanks again, and I am signing off.